Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tammy's channel chats. Thank you for viewing again. So this is where I come on. I'm a clairaudient, clairvoyant, intuitive reader, and you can find me at tammysintuitive.com. I also have some channel messages that I post on my Tammy's Intuitive Services Facebook and Instagram pages. So if you want to check those out, please do. I also have another video with colleague Julie Hawkins, and that's called number two, Psychic Moms, if you'd like to also view that. So thank you so much for viewing Tammy's channel chats. And if you can like and subscribe, I would love it. Thank you so much. So today's topic, sometimes, I have an idea that I come on to channel about, and sometimes I just kind of let my guides wing it. But as I was sitting here preparing and asking maybe what they wanted to drop in for today, they actually kept going back to psychic development. They went around to other things too, but they went back to psychic development. So I think they might be wanting just to give you some tidbits, some ideas about your own intuition. Of course, we're all psychic, as the saying is. Some of us are just a little bit more aware of our abilities. And then some people like me also just kind of fine tune them over time. So I really worked with this starting many years ago, and I'm learning something all the time. I still learn things about it. I'm still in awe of it, humbly so. And so we all have the abilities. Many of you viewing this know that already and are very aware of your own. Some of us tend to be a little bit more, we'll say, clairaudient, like I am, where I hear more as I tune in. I'm also clairvoyant, so images will be given to me as well. Many people are clairsentient. That's a sensing, feeling, knowing kind of the clairs. Empaths kind of go along with that as well. And many of my clients are clairsentient, and my guides will often say that. So I'm just kind of opening that up. My guides are kind of channeling with me as I'm talking, but I'm going to open up to them formally just to kind of see what they want to say about this whole psychic development. Start listening. First thing I hear, start listening. To what, guides? What do you mean start listening? At everything that comes in. You are given messages on a daily basis. You hear things. You don't always recognize it's from us. Yes, you have your own thoughts. You are in control of your own thoughts as well. But many things that come in are little tidbits and downloads, drop-ins, different ways to kind of use the term that we give you on a daily basis to help you. So if you're pondering about something, wondering, what should I do next? Oh gosh, what's the answer to this problem? Sometimes you're going to get it. Sometimes you're not. If you're in a test, it doesn't mean that your guides are going to give you all the answers if you're taking a test. Sometimes they might help you with that. Not saying they don't, but it's not like you're necessarily opening up just to hear all the answers from somebody else. But start listening. So what we mean by that is just start listening to the thoughts that come in for yourself. You're gonna pretty much know when it's just you thinking of something and so forth. I always tell people, please pay attention to the ones that suddenly they just kind of come to you, or you think, oh wow, where'd that come from? Or the one for me that was a big one in my learning about my abilities was I would think, well, I would never have said that word. I don't use that word. It's not really in my vocabulary. I might know of it, but it's not something I would normally use. And let's start at the beginning. They said to get there, we really always recommend meditation for the obvious reasons. You're getting into a practice of centering yourself and grounding yourself. And then more self-awareness comes as a result. The more you practice it, the better you do get at it. I might have mentioned this before where I thought that, oh my gosh, first time I was meditating, like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. But I kept with it because I just wanted to. And also I think ultimately it's led to this is what I was going to be doing, part of my path. So I did stick with it. And then I would start just really asking questions after a while. I got good mainly at I really practiced the grounding and paying attention to just the grounding and being with me, being centered, being clear. And that took a while. It takes a while to get that kind of practice down, maybe longer for some than others. Some of you might be able to go into a meditation very easily. Remember, meditation doesn't have to be hour-long meditations. You can start with, a few minutes, 10 minutes, and just sitting, concentrating on your breathing. There's a whole process to meditation. Sometime maybe I'll do a kind of a class on that for beginners. So what they're saying right now is your psychic development, intuitive development. It's just another word. The word psychic sometimes freaks people out. So I consider myself an intuitive advisor, intuitive reader. It's under the psychic umbrella of things, but I just like that word a little bit better. Nothing wrong with the word psychic, by the way. That's just for me. So when you are in that space of quiet, they're saying, that's where we want you to start practicing and recognizing your voice. Your voice. First and foremost, you're asking yourself a question. Now, actually, I'm going to interrupt my guides because this is interesting. I've never heard them say this like this. Going back to our guides now. Yes, because you have to listen to your voice first, they said. You have to know your own voice. And that's the stillness. And that's the piece they're talking about, that we don't, when we say, well, I want to hear my guides. People say, I want to hear my guides. Well, you do hear your guides often, but you're thinking it's probably you in your thoughts. Sometimes it is. But you do have to really start the practice of just meditation first, and the stillness, and being, centered within, like we said. And I did start that way because it is important to know that. So they're reiterating that, they're emphasizing that. It's not like we want you to jump into the game saying, okay, guys, I'm ready. I'm going to listen. Not that that's so wrong, but, you want to take time for you and your thoughts. So ways you could do that is in meditation is just to start asking yourself. If I were to do it, then it would be, okay, Tammy, what do you think about this? And let my higher self kind of answer myself. After you've taken a lot of practice, I would say a lot of practice and time with meditation, just because, frankly, that's how I learned. And I do believe that's really important. Then, you can start posing questions to your guides, and you can start asking for messages from them, and maybe visuals of them in your mind's eye to present a visual. Don't worry if you're not getting one way or the other. Just keep the practice mainly at the meditation and the stillness. In time, it will open up for you. When I was doing it too, I remember I had kind of a unique experience. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen to other people or has happened to spiritual folks who got into doing what I'm doing. But a lot of mine at the beginning came through actually the physical. I had a connection. I could make this a long story, but I'm not going to. But in my meditations, I remember saying, I really would like to connect with my guides when I got to that point, that really made that connection. I had an experience that was, I don't really even have words for. I still feel emotional when I talk about it. It was, and some people have gone through this and had this experience. I don't know, there's probably actual words for it, meaning phrases in the whole spiritual community, of the metaphysical community, maybe, of this. But if it comes to me, I'll share it with you. I'm not getting it right now. But basically, I made a connection. And this connection was otherworldly in a positive way, all with God, all with good intention. And the feeling that came over me through this experience was, there really, like I said, are no words, because it was the ultimate purest form of love that came in. I think what we would liken to heaven when we go back home and we feel that unconditional love. And it came over me very slowly, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was doing lying down meditation at that time. That was my first connection that I had with my guides. And I remember I was a little concerned about being frightened. Please don't do it in a way that scares me. Just do something that makes me, concerned. And they didn't. They brought me this indescribable energy of love. And I do remember it made me almost at the same time to laugh out loud and cry. And I've never felt it that intensely ever since that experience, but it didn't need to be. Now I know that it didn't need to be. That was their first big connection with me. I remember after this happened, I'm jumping into something else real quick, but after this happened, I remember standing in front of the mirror in my bathroom and I had been crying and I was like, did that just happen? It was amazing. And so then I contacted a friend who was interested in things that I was doing as well. And she had me contact somebody who had done recently like a psychic party that I'd gone to. And, or no, meditation classes maybe at that time, long time ago, I can't remember. And just to get some confirmation from her on what was happening. And then she said, oh yeah, you made the connection. You made that connection with your guides and that higher vibration. And that made me feel really good because she looked at it intuitively for me. So from then on, then I started being able to communicate with my guides. First, it was actually physically. I allowed them to just as you see me work with my hands, I've told you before that sometimes they'll come in that way when they're actually channeling. They started doing, I was, how can I put it? Physically, they started using my hands and so forth to communicate. Now, please understand, I had absolute control of my body. This was nothing weird, no takeover, nothing really strange like that. All in the light, and I was allowing them to like shake my head yes to questions or no. And they would do that. I remember them asking I remember asking them one time, am I ever going to be able to hear you? And they had my head, yes, and honestly, as they're shaking my head, yes, I'm thinking, no way, no way. I don't know, that's going to happen. And over time it did. I strengthened it through trust and trusting what I was receiving, starting to receive and asking questions. So I'm letting you know this because it is a process. Maybe different for everybody, maybe not so much for you. Maybe there's things that come in really quick. We've all heard of the psychics who were born psychics, so to speak, meaning that they've had experiences as a child and everything. Well, I think it's fantastic. And I think they brought a lot of information from other lifetimes with them directly in that where they've worked on this before. My theory, maybe others too, but that's kind of what I think. For me, it was a learning process. And one though that I am so very grateful for because it was pretty amazing. And they are my trusted friends and companions. And they're pretty awesome. All of our guides are, all of our angels are, source, it's all together. And that's what I definitely work with. So I would say getting back to spiritual development, I'm checking my time. It's a practice. Be patient with yourself. It does take some time. You are getting messages from your guides. Start trusting things that just come in. And I would say if you're going to start asking your guides and angels questions, at least get yourself in that very quiet space and do some work more on the meditation piece and learning grounding and meditation before you really are opening up, because that's also protection, and protection is important as well. And I learned that through some other fabulous intuitives and psychics that helped me along the way in my own growth. It is important to know how to protect and how to ask for that divine protection before you're really, opening up. Because as a clairaudient, I could listen to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that wants to talk to me in spirit. I'm not saying I haven't opened up to some, but my guides help me to see and help me to know and let me know who's recommended and who's not. It doesn't happen much anymore. Mainly, I'm obviously in connection with my guides and angels, God source, masters that are in spirit. And yes, obviously, as a clairaudient, I'm also a medium, so I do connect with those on the other side. I prefer to know who I'm connecting with in a session. And I like to ask who it is, asking for their name and so forth. And I'm happy to look into it. My guides are really good about letting me know if there's somebody that's in my space that either we'll work together to release. Doesn't happen too often, to be honest. But most of the time when somebody comes in or just kind of shows up, it might be a bit of a lost soul that needs a little direction. And they know I'm a little open for that, but my guides are always helping me with that. And I will have communication with them generally to try to encourage them to go to the light, as I said. And many times they will. They just needed to talk to somebody who's kind of here on the earth plane and might get them a little bit. So mediums tend to maybe have those visits here and there. So your psychic development, you are psychic, you are already have many of the clairs, and you know what we mean by that: clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairsentience, sometimes it's pronounced, clairaudience, claircognizance. There's others too. There's the smelling and the tasting one. I always forget what those are, but anyway, we have a lot of those abilities, and then some will be more pronounced in a lifetime for you, but you can work on them and you can open up to what's already there. It is okay. It is okay to talk with your angels and guides and spirit guides. There's nothing wrong with that, but you also want to learn who you are in your own space, what your energy feels like. So you are more, open to knowing if there was something else around that you just don't want to talk to. So again, someday, if there's interest, I know there has been some interest, but if there's interest, then I might look at, putting together some sort of an online class or something like that. If anybody's interested in that, and we can take it kind of step by step. It might be meditation class just to start out with, because that's what my guys always say. Meditation is the first key to really developing your psychic abilities and your intuitive abilities. Okay. So I think I'm going to leave with that today. I hope that was helpful for you. And if you have any questions or comments about what I just mentioned, or interest in maybe seeing something like an online class happening, then maybe I'll just put something together. So thank you again for viewing, and I appreciate your subscribes to this channel, your likes, subscribes, your comments, your questions. So have a great week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.